It was the antithesis of the German philosophy, where every tiger was a bespoke masterpiece, a rolling fortress of unparalleled individual strength. This Sherman was not a fortress. It was a unit, a cog. A memory flashed unbidden. The report from the Eastern Front on the Soviet T-34, crude, simple, and they came in waves that never seemed to end. This was that same industrial logic, but refined, perfected on a scale he could barely conceive. The United States hadn't just built a tank. They had built a process that could drown perfection in a tide of mere adequacy. His sergeant approached, offering a canteen. "Just a Tommy cooker, Herr Hauptmann. One less to worry about." Werner took the canteen but didn't drink. He looked from the dead Sherman to his own magnificent immobilized Panther to the exhausted faces of his men. They were trading their limited, irreplaceable kings for a handful of the enemy's limitless pawns. And the enemy had more pawns than they had squares on the board. He stood up abruptly, the canteen falling forgotten to the dirt. "Get me paper and a carbon set," he barked, his voice sharper than he intended. He had to document this. He had to make them understand in Berlin. This wasn't a battlefield assessment. It was an obituary for the entire German war machine, written in the stark, simple lines of an American tank.
The command post was a world away from the visceral reality of the crater outside. It was a tomb of its own, buried deep in the cellar of a shattered Norman farmhouse, the air stale with the smell of damp earth, cigarette smoke, and low-grade fear. The only light came from a single sputtering petrol lamp, casting long, dancing shadows that made the maps on the rough wooden table seem alive with malevolent movement. Hauptmann Werdener stood at attention, the grime of the battlefield still etched into the lines of his face. Before him, leaning over the situation map, was Oberst von Fulkersam. The colonel was a relic of a different war, his impeccably tailored uniform a stark contrast to the filth-smeared fatigue Werner wore. A monocle was clamped in his eye, and his expression was one of profound, weary annoyance.